Hello, dear mentors. Welcome to meeting 3, Street Art, on October 23. This is a short meeting because we'll have an external survey from the Department of Education for our students, our middle schoolers. That will take about 30 minutes or so. So right after the break, we'll actually start with the math, and we'll only have 45 minutes or so to do this math. So this is all about the motives, and other videos explain this very well. But here are the goals to this meeting, the mathematical goals. It's all about scalings and distortions in 2 dimensions with shapes and what happens to the area. So explaining what it means for a figure to be a scale copy and explaining the term scaling factor, performing all sorts of horizontal and vertical scalings and just what we call scalings, where the scaling factors are the same and you preserve the shape and the proportions. Realize that scaling by 2 will have the effect of a ×4 change in the area, not ×2, but ×4. And in general, identify what happens to the area when doing distortions and scalings. Estimate areas, right? Estimate about how much of a total rectangular area is covered by a figure inside. Estimate areas with at least these 2 methods, the covering, so cover it with little squares and reason about that. And something a little maybe less intuitive about its averages, drawing parallel lines, segments across and making sense of what the average would tell us about the area of a shape. So you'll find these methods in the workbook and in the student workbook as well. So street art, it's actually this, let's look at it here. It has 3 parts for motives. So first, motivos, students will create the motives in about 10 minutes or so. Then there's going to be these games and challenges called transformations. And finally, with the motivos, we'll have a whole classroom mural display in which students will just see what students built. So here's how the motives would look like. Each student will build one to work the whole activity with. Students may work in pairs sometimes, so that's okay. And these are basic shapes, so to speak. And then after, there's going to be some challenges. Let's take a very quick look at all of them. So 4 challenges. You don't have to do them all as usual, but hopefully you can get at least 2 or 3 of them in the meeting, depending on the time you have. First, scale it down. So students draw a shape and then scale it down to hopefully 25% of the area. Then there's a pop art challenge where students start with a basic shape or basic motif and do these 3 distortions and reason about what happens to the area. Close to 50%. So this is what we call an inverse problem, which is harder. It's not just finding the area of something, but can you build a shape or build your motif so that it fits in the canvas and it occupies exactly or as close to 50% of the total size of the canvas. Then we have a more abstract problem in which we're not given the shape of the motifs, but just some restrictions. So Laura has 2 motifs. Each is a scale copy. One is 60% of the area of the other, and together they cover 3/4 of the canvas. And the question is how much of the canvas is covered by each of the first, the original motifs. So this is an algebraic problem that can be reasoned in many different ways. And the final challenge, it's if you have time, same area, it's a fun cooperative challenge because actually you will draw the motifs and you will scale them so that they have exactly the same area. So they may look very different, but if you compute the area, they should be as close as possible. So later on in part 2, as we're saying, or part 3 actually of part 1, so the last part, mentors, OAs will take pictures of the murals or they will paste it on the boards depending on your style. But the point is to show all these creations to all students and have a very short dialogue on what happened during the meeting and which values were expressed by all these motifs. So hopefully you have fun. Last reminder about time management. In the transformation, you may leave some of the tasks as take home just to do at home because there are 4 of them and I know it's a very short meeting in this time. So it's totally reasonable that maybe the last challenge is not done or the first 2 are done and the third is just half done and left as a take home. So enjoy and have fun. See you in another video.